Welcome to this streaming, this show, this podcast, whatever I call it, because the name may be changing. Right now it's Behavior Code. It's really a base temple promo. This is my cell in the temple, and it's the cottage out back. 4 bedrooms up there, big tent right there. And we have a camp coming up this Friday, Saturday, Sunday, every month since we've been here. And every month since March of 2019. So this is going on 24 months in a row. There's been a monthly camp, sometimes 2 a month, but definitely 1 a month. And these are very powerful events. They've evolved and changed. That very first event, it may have been March or April of 2019, that was Tabiat. Then there was Tabiat 2, Tabiat 3. Then there was Tabiat Extension, which was only online. This is very powerful teachings that I can even give away the teaching because you won't get the context. There's situations in life when you apply this, then you see. It's like, let's say, the martial arts saying, I learned this from Arash. Apply something like good martial arts would apply 4 ounces of pressure to 1,000 pounds of force. So 1,000 pounds of force comes in, boom, just a little bit. How can you throw somebody by just moving your body and getting under their arm bone? And so you leverage and you fling somebody 20 feet because they were charging you. And we do this with words. When someone comes at you with force, what words accept and deflect, or not in the way that people will say, you're just deflecting my conversation or whatever. No, in a way that, no, I'm deflecting your energy. There's a force coming at me, a thought force, and we move it. And so when I say the original Tabiat teaching to be dangerous to your environment, but not dangerous to your woman, and your woman it's in her mind. She needs to get that the environment perceives him as dangerous, but but I don't feel like that I'm in danger. And if I don't know him, then I want to know him. Or I want to run away. There's this dual experience of the female around the man that's dangerous to the environment. That's where pre-selection comes in. So it's not enough to just be dangerous. If you have other women that are close to you, then she feels safer. But it's not good enough to just have lots of women around you, but not be dangerous, because then you're just a friend. We're one of the girls. So that's the Tabiat teachings. Then there was a Tabiat 4 where Jiran Susi came. And then Messengers 1, that's where Sultan came. This is every month. There's Tabiat 1, 2, 3, Extension, then 4. Extension was just online, people. That was amazing. I fucked up the recording on that. That was so good. That was all about storytelling, how to tell a story. It was so good. Man, it happened twice where I forgot to click record. Shane Smith messages me and it's like, brother, are you recording? I'm like, oh, fuck. We're like an hour and a half into it. Because I got right into he was lecturing and I was just like paying attention. So anyway, so then there's Messengers 1. Sultan comes here. It's real amazing. I get him super high on this pen, this vape pen. I didn't know. I told him stop inhaling. So he got super high. So I taught him the Wim Hof breath to calm him down. So we did all these Wim Hof rounds. And then I got him to read the World's Greatest Salesman. He read the first chapter a bunch of times. And or Greatest Salesman in the World. And then was there another messenger? And then it was Messengers Extension again. It was October, November, December. Then there was the final Messengers where Troy Olvera came. And the cool thing about these messengers is the alumni, they come for $1,000. The original person comes for $25,000. So that was the Tabiat and Messengers program. Each person that did that live paid 25 grand for that. And it's a reference. You see something that you can't unsee really. And there's teachings that go with it that kind of solidify it. It's not like winning the lottery. It's like figuring out the Stargate combination. It's like it makes sense. You decode something versus you just fell on something. You just found a fucking gold deposit because you were just there. You just drove your shovel in because you were digging a hole and you happened to find gold. Versus you read the lay of the land, you measured here and there, you found, and if you've ever seen how they do that, pretty cool. They like zoom in on it by just taking little mineral deposits here and there, and whichever has more gold pieces, they go closer to it, and they just kind of almost like a animal sniff it out, but through kind of sieving for gold by noticing the landscape and how gold it deposits in rivers. And so old sedimentary rock, like as you go down like 10 feet or something, where the old rivers were flowing, and there was a bend in the river, that's where the gold would, it's so fucking, because it's heavy, so it would like drop out of the solution. It's amazing how you find these, like, what do you call them? Veins, gold veins through the land. So that's not what this was. This was the sniffing out of the gold. This was not just like falling on somebody's gold or stealing it from them. Tabiat messengers. So he's never taught that stuff again, but then it shifted after Troy Olvera, because that was kind of funky, you know, that was a really funky thing with Troy. Troy, bless his heart, you know, he's come back around and he's doing things. So let's see what he does. Cause I'm one of those guys that I have like full faith in guys. Unless I don't, you know, there's two guys that come to mind right away. Two and a half, 3, 4 really, that have dropped out of the process that were a fish. One of those guys did Tabiat, the first Tabiat with me, 25 grand. Imagine going 25 grand in on the teacher, and then a year later, after so many gifts and everything, then turning away and going another way with another teacher, you know. And yet there are guys that other people around me, even the teacher, doubts. But then I'm like, man, I see him trying. He's doing good. You know, there was this guy that was from the projects in Chicago and, you know, had raised himself, had the attitude of a 21-year-old. He was 38 and he looked young. He was yoked, but a small black guy. And man, I just see goodness in the guy, but he's also a little cray. But I think he's like I think it's just his personality is bent. I don't think he's really cray. I think that's normal for him, but he's in control. I don't see the problem yet. I see where it's risky looking, but it's like, man, the guy's wise enough to stay loyal and keep following and keep investing. Like, you know, that part in him sees that part in us that is like truth, you know, and we grow. So then started Love Spell. Love Spell was always going, but then there was the Love Spell 2.0. He wanted to start 2.0. So, you know, there were a lack of candidates maybe that were able to do a 25K investment. You know, I fully leveraged like my whole life. Like I went down to like, there was not much more. I would have had to like ask my dying grandfather for like a forward on my will or something to like get that would have been and I would have. That's the thing, is I would have, because it's to benefit his offspring. I can always reason it's survival. That's why it's easy. It's easy math for me. So, but the candidates and whatever. So he starts this boot camp where now 10 people can come, pay smaller price, bunch of people online. Overall, the event is like the same for him, or even a little more. And it does really well. It does really, really well. I had a wonderful experience, and, you know, it was a different, the shift was, you know, it's possible even that the boot camp, the Love Spell boot camp, was even a higher level teaching than the messengers. It's just that the messengers was this vibe that was like, he let you in really close to his life. Now it's normal. I live with the guy, but that guy did messengers. That guy did Tabiat. I did Tabiat. And that guy would have done Tabiat, but had to go to war, you know, couldn't get out of it, tried to get out of it. He was in the military already. And it was like that month that Tabiat was happening. And he was like, fuck, I'm trying to get out. And he couldn't get out. So he went to war for 14 months and came back, did 2 boot camps, and now he lives here. So, you know, and that guy had no Wi-Fi. And so while I had him on here, Cortez, while he would get ashore because he was in the Navy, when he would come ashore for a moment, he could read my emails that I would send with the notes, and he would screenshot the emails so that when he went back on the ship, he could read the notes, because he couldn't access any of the lectures or anything. That's what would keep him sane. And I always think, man, Like when I get to thinking I'm giving away too much or it's too much effort, nobody ever buys from the emails, you know, that's just me giving and feeling popular amongst the IMC guys, you know. Also, I take notes for myself. So I feel like, man, this is just going to get tucked away. Nobody's going to know the value. When I go to sell it for $100, a 50-page book or whatever, who's going to do that? Well, here are the notes, you know, check it out. And then I think, well, who's the next Cortez? Right? Yeah. Who's the next Cortez that needs that right now? Because it's just a bunch of logical things, you know, put down. It just makes sense. So they start to give you kind of how yoga gives you a reference for like what relaxation is, what receptivity is. When you read logical things about life and relationships, especially because nobody makes sense on relationships. And when you read the science of relationships, it's kind of dreary, it's kind of dry, and it's just like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? So then mystery came along and codified like, hey, these are the things that if you demonstrate pre-selection, first and foremost, if you demonstrate leadership, if you demonstrate protection of people, if you demonstrate healthy emotions, if you demonstrate a sense of risk, you know, I'm just realizing that a sense of risk would be like a sense of humor, because that's, you take a risk to be funny. That's a healthy risk taker. These are 4 different switches that if you have all of these, there's going to be a girl that wants to be around. To demonstrate all of these, if there's a female around, she's interested to know a little more. Who is that? Give a little proximity, get nearby, but looking away. Right. So mystery comes along and does that and hacks the behavior like that. You know, AZD comes along and hacks the survival code for the animal, which is to be dangerous to your environment, but not to your woman. That's a different level. When you have that energy or this energy, this vibe, to say energy means it has a vibration, then, or it's vibrating is a better way to say it. Then that's what you got with messengers, really. But then when the boot camp happened, he starts getting real animated with his teachings, and he explains all these things. The first boot camp, he breaks down like the warrior code and into different archetypes. It really makes it clear. When you cut it up clearly, then it's easier to kind of see how you relate to this one or that one, and what other qualities are there. So you can define yourself better almost, and you can emphasize because you have more focus. The words help bring focus to the qualities, and you can develop more once you have the basic framework of like some qualities and words. He puts words on things, right? That's what I do too. You know, that's what this is. And then the quarantine, COVID happens. So it continues with the boot camp, and then it goes into mind control hypnosis. He goes to certification with Anthony Jacquin, this hypnotherapist, and does that for 2 months. Then the Lion's Den starts. And that was all super exciting. There's this recording apparently where I fell asleep at his apartment. And I guess he was like whispering into my ear or something. I still haven't listened. I was recording. I just fell asleep and just haven't been too interested to like hear it. It was nothing. Other people were there like telling me about it, but it's funny. So he has his apartment at this time back in right before the Troy Olvera messengers. I break up with my girlfriend and I resolve that I'm going to live in a base with these guys because that just makes sense. It's that time in my life. Like part of the problems of that relationship was she was fixed where she was, and because I didn't know how to lead, because I wasn't in a position to lead. I didn't know, and I wasn't in a position, blah, blah, blah. Like I was on my thing. And that was the opportunity. I saw that like on the other end of that bridge, or on the outside. You know, they say every exit is an entrance to something. Like I saw that portal. I was transitioning into this window of opportunity to base it up with my pals, But my pals were not like my college pals. They were not like my wrestling pals. They were not like my running pals or my lifting pals or my engineering pals or my pot smoking pals or my guitar playing pals. All of those pals were like built around a skill, you could say, or kind of an interest. And all of those interests had a code. Let's say if you, the weed smoking pals, you had this code that like you're somehow not going to snitch or something, as if the opportunity ever came up, which it, for me, it did not, I don't think. And if it did, I just, whatever. It's that code of like, don't talk about this. Don't, at the time, be cool on the phone and everything. So there was like a code with that. With the wrestler's code, there was like, man, you're just going to like show up. You're going to train hard. You're going to like, there's a dedication. There's like, don't be a cancer to the team. Like you hold up that, no negativity like that. You train in the off season, these things. Everything has a code, really. And with this code, with the IMC, it's a code of living that's related with relationships, that has to do with respect, especially for, men that are taking care of their shit and that are aiming to take care of their shit a lot better, that see departure from normality and from natural living from most of society, that they have just departed from sanity, really, and they're lost in their mind, and we no longer want to be a part of that. And when you see that, you see every brother as much closer to you than every other individual, even if they're close to you. They work next to you, they live next to you, they grew up next to you. It's different because they are slaves to their mind. So it's as if they're a zombie, to some extent. There seems to be this like threshold where it's like people don't float around in the middle too much. They're either in that or they're like coming over this way. The people in the middle are the ones that agree with you, but also don't disagree with them. And who, they're just kind of, they need to wake up to their backbone or whatever, to stand up for something. So that's when Lion's Den happens. You got to stand up for something. Lion's Den. That's June of last year. So I sold the Lion's Den book that accompanied the tribal council last month. So from May 28th until February 28th, 248 lectures. It was a 65-page book of notes. And I included that. I gave that in the tribal council last month. So Lion's Den, it was just it was a boot camp like Love Spell. There were 4 Love Spell 2.0 boot camps, February, March, April, May. Then June was the Lion's Den, June 2020. And Love Spell stopped, Lion's Den started. People could sign up for Lion's Den. I was signed up for Love Spell, so it just transitioned me into Lion's Den. I didn't have to unsubscribe and resubscribe. And at that boot camp, what was different is there was a physical routine that he gave, which was this calisthenics exercise routine that could fit inside of a prison cell if we were prisoners on a prison planet, which we were 4 months into quarantine. So I had finished my yoga travels. I was living in Houston. I decided now's the time. I was getting Sultan to look at houses. We weren't really finding any houses, but I'm like, what the fuck? I'm just going to move to San Jose. Now's the time. I'm in Houston, renting an Airbnb, living it up in Houston. It's great. If I was there right now, that would be a great alternative. But that's like putting, I don't know, the Rocky Mountains next to Mount Everest. Like, it's cool, but next to that, it's just, that's the top of the world, And nothing about San Jose. It's about my teacher and living here in the base with the other monks. It's incredible. Incredible. Dark Rebel, I saw you changed your name. I just talked about you earlier on the show. So the Lion's Den started. It was a boot camp, right? I came out here and I lived in an Airbnb. We rented a big Airbnb for the guys. 14 guys stayed in this one place against the regulations of the quarantine or whatever. And we did that for June and July. And it was great. It was a 2-day or 3-day event. Something. It was 2 days, always 2 days, but then AZD kept extending it a day. He liked the 3-day thing. Finally, I stepped up. I told the story before. I found the house. We moved into this house. August boot camp became Beast Camp. June boot camp, he gave us the philosophy of the beast, the coat of arms of the beast, the routine of the beast, and kept developing it through the Lion's Den lectures. July was an extension of that. Now, August was Beast Camp. There was a base now. Hella running for Trump 2020. 17 different Trump flags all around. I'll probably get censored now because the left, that's all they have really is force. They just have force, but they're really weaker. It's funny. They have force, but they're really weaker. But it's like, they're like a kid almost. When they use force, it's like, you don't want to hurt them back. You'll be accused of hurting them back, really. Like you did them wrong or something. So the Beast Camp evolves. August, September. Now there's residency. There's this thing called residency where you can stay at the temple and live right next to AZD. He hadn't lived with nobody for like 17 years or something, other than girlfriends, but he wasn't living with girlfriends for like a couple years. But now to save some money off of having a 1 or 2 bedroom or whatever the fuck he had and live in a base with other guys right nearby, that's a big sense of protection when you're a big target for people. It's a big opportunity for all of us. I have a front yard, which is our backyard. I have 2 front yards. I'm in a cottage in the back or in my tent behind my cottage. God damn it, I have 3 yards. I have the little yard of my tent, and then I have the front yard, which is the backyard to my cottage, full with a basketball court and jiu-jitsu pads and a tree island in the center platform with a rocking chair on it. And then I have a house with a kitchen, 2 living rooms, and another front yard with my car in the driveway. I'm fortunate enough. You know, it's just like absurd. But I could just ride my bicycle to the grocery store's a mile away. The Santana Row, where everything happens, is a mile and a half away. So that's pretty sweet. So Beast Camp, August, September, people start getting beaded, anointed as monks in this lineage of Stoicism and of the art of war and of communication. And, you know, what comes with that? A lot of routine, a lot of discipline. Thriving through social media censorship because of, isn't it always funny that the right is right? They're like correct. Like the political right is correct, is actually correct. They're right. Get it? It's like they put that in your face and expect you not to really bring attention to the right is right. Do you get it? Now, the only thing they can do then is confuse you on what is right. Like, literally. They'll get you to think that big government is right thinking. That's not right. Okay. So fast forward, you know, new year comes, transitions are coming. It's amazing to see these annual cycles because, you know, he does a mystery method boot camp. He does the tribal council to create the next generation of leaders. And now Beast Phase 1 and 2. So it's a big like overturn, like boom, real quick. All these new 100 people just joined Lion's Den, leading a new 100 pack of people in addition to the original 77. And getting them up to speed on routine 1. Meanwhile, getting the alumni routine 2, which is an evolution of it. Once you get 6 months of tapping into this raw survival energy that you redline on your workout a little bit while you visualize conquering certain, you know, different visualizations. You know, there's a very different perspective to see your life from the top of the pyramid as the fucking pharaoh of your life versus being at the bottom of the pyramid, slapping together mud and hay and looking at your life. It's a different view of your life. You make different decisions from your perspective. So Beast Phase 1 and 2 is opportunity to get everybody kind of up to speed with that. because it's going to shift. It's amazing. A year later, next month is April. So he'll be doing an event with Anthony Jacquin again, and the hypnotherapy and the mind control. But now, in addition, is acting technique, embodying animal totems, all kinds of visualization, freeing up your nervous system, freeing up your expression, because it's amazing how much energy, static energy, is just like in there. It's just looking for the right expression. Body language is literally symbols in nature. It's a symbol. The symbols transmit the energy, gets it out of you, movement. And then sound and being understood. Words help you get precisely understood. You ever play like charades and you have to just like act it and then somebody like guess it? Like it takes, the words would make it a lot faster if you could just tell them. So words are very helpful, but we want to get right on our words, and they confused our definitions of words. That's how the left fucked with the right. Things like feminism and socialism and communism and capitalism, Diamond Lecture. What's up? Bumbazzle. You're still on. It's very interesting. Do we know each other? You should put a profile picture so that you're known. What's up? What's up? People on. Could always be on Zoom. Zoom is better. All right. So let's see. Are we up to speed with it? I think we are. Next month moves on to acting technique. It's once you go through the beasting routine and the beasting discipline, and I'm giving it to my yoga groups just gradually in a different way, but it's that consistency. It's building momentum inside of you. It's getting an internal clock that you overturn daily. You're like that mythical man that pushes the rock up the hill, it rolls back down, you push it up. You do that every day because that's what daily living is. It's not about getting the rock at the top and keeping it there. It's about the wisdom gained in the process. The process gives you wisdom that gives you power, knowing how to act in situations. It's like how I feel with my yoga. Knowing that I can heal myself from basically anything is empowering. Gives me confidence in movement and in myself. And that's what ethics and knowing how to act and knowing how to talk. When you don't know how to talk, apply your imagination and run through it. Play it out in your favor. Make it work based on your feelings. What would it feel like if it worked out? What would it feel like if it was the way you wanted it to be? How is it possible? Can you shift a universe and it's possible? How is it possible? If you go to an alternative quantum universe where the opposite is happening, a different is happening. Everything's the same, but it's happening differently. And you feel it because it feels like it's the other way. It feels like the way you want it to be. What would it feel like? And then shift some universe. What needs to happen? And this is how I would teach yoga. That's an intention. So as you practice yoga, you set intention and then you do what I call access infinity, which is to dissolve your ego and go into the void and come out a newly programmed person because you had intention, but it takes focus and, clarity and all the good stuff, whatever. So go to, find me on Instagram, Yoga Bliss Chris. That's Instagram, Yoga Bliss Chris, one word. And, ask me about my yoga Telegram groups. If you're interested in the Beast Camp, go to ninthlimb.com/temple. That's going to change though soon. So look in the description for the link to that. And let's see, is there anything else? Those are the announcements. I should really do the announcements before the very end. I think that's it. Right now, the future is exciting. Whether we stay here at this base temple, other bases are starting up. We have a new candidate that's coming this Beast Camp actually to kind of scope out the place, maybe live in the tent for a few months. So that'll be cool to have another roommate. And that's all for now. So I'll finish this song and stay on for any questions. You catch the recording, click follow, and I'll see you in the next one. Os.